we move on to the next presentation, Mr. Wauters. Thank you.
Thank you. So a few words about, I represent UITP, the International Association of Public Transport. UITP focuses on urban, our local public transport, meaning urban, suburban, and regional public transport. It's a worldwide network, so it's a global association. And it brings together all the public transport stakeholders, mainly operators, public transport authorities, and also the supply industry, and covers all sustainable transport modes, so the classical modes like metro or bus, commuter railway, as well as taxis and micromobility, for example. The main activities are centered around advocacy, also at the European Union level, knowledge building through participation in research projects, as well as development by the different committees in UITP, by the members, and providing networking opportunities for everyone in the public transport sector. A few words about the, let's say, the global urban rail landscape. First of all, for metros. The graph on the left shows the number of cities that have new metro networks per decade. So we see that it really picked up in the 1970s, and in the last decade, in the 2010s, there were more than 50 additional cities with metros. Most of those were in Asia. I think you've all heard about the tremendous development in China, but also other countries like India and across the region. Another big development in the world of metros is in automated metros. In 2018, UITP published a statistics brief on automated metros. At the time, there were just over 1,000 kilometers of automated metro lines in the world. And the prediction was that by 2030, this would quadruple to 4,000 kilometers. The European rail, so I talked about the many developments in Asia, but the European metro market is still very much dynamic with extensions, new lines, as well as modernization of existing networks, including automation of, so transition to GOA4 of metros. We've already seen that happening in Paris, Nuremberg, Lyon more recently, and there are more projects underway. For tram, well, we're still in the so-called tramway renaissance, which started in the 1980s, 90s. Today, there are more than 400 tram networks worldwide. But contrary to metro, this is still, Europe is still, let's say the lion's share is still in Europe, with 58% of the total network length in the world on our continent. So what are the rail innovation trends in urban rail? Well, pretty much the same as in mainline rail. We have digitalization, IoT, big data, artificial intelligence. I won't mention them again. I think they've been mentioned by the previous speakers. The benefits are also the same. They are increased reliability, better capacity, so more effective and cost-efficient railways. Urban rail can also benefit from technical harmonization through the economies of scale and administrative simplification, savings in time and for certification. Also, it allows independence from proprietary solutions, such as alternatives in case of obsolescence of parts of the system. As a whole, the expected benefits for urban rail are a larger market base for rail products, fewer barriers to trade, reduction in life cycle cost, with the overall objective, of course, being the modal shift from private car to sustainable modes. However, there are some specificities for standardization in urban rail. Urban rail is excluded from the EU technical legislation because it does not need to be interoperable, as in, For example, the U-Bahn in Munich does not need to be interoperable with the metro in Prague, for example. It's also part of a global local public transport offer with different modes. The networks are designed in such a way that all the modes are complementary, also with integrated ticketing at the local level, for example. The focus for urban rail should be on research and standardization, but bottom-up standardization, which is also adapted to the functional differences of the different urban rail modes. Yeah, as a reminder, rail has to be a backbone for sustainable mobility in all its market segments, interoperable mainline rail for long and medium distance travel, and urban rail for local mobility. Cybersecurity is also of utmost importance in urban rail. Cyber attacks will not stop, and they're likely to become a bigger threat in the future, as previous speakers have mentioned. So the sector needs an increased cyber capacity in an adapted way, taking into account the diversity of profiles from fully automated metro lines to small light rail operators or bus operators. It needs to be subject to local legislation and regulations, also to public service contracts, and it is dependent on local public transport funding. So in conclusion, there's a need for a voice and an adapted approach for local rail, which represents, let's say, a vast majority of the passengers in public transport. So urban rail alone accounts for 22 billion passengers per year, and to which we can add 9 million passengers for regional and suburban rail. Just to conclude, UITP is involved in different projects and initiatives, including Europe's rail initiatives. I will mention just R2Dato, which is for research in automation and autonomous rail systems, and the project also covers light rail automation, and UITP is involved with our light rail operator members in helping define operational use cases for the industry then to provide solutions. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.